This is the Winning is the Only Option podcast. I'm yours truly, Tony C. We have the great Dr. Mel. Keep in mind, this is the Winning is the Only Option podcast. Log on to winningistheonlyoption.com. If you're listening to the recording of this, make sure you frequent, make sure you subscribe, make sure you stay tapped in with yours truly, Tony C. I encourage everyone that's hearing my voice right now to text "Let's Win." One word, "Let's Win." LETSWIN to the number 42828. Let's Win to 42828. Okay, and without further ado, I introduce to you Dr. Mel. What's going on, Dr. Mel?
Hey, Tony. Thanks for having me today. I really appreciate it. And thank you to everybody who is on the podcast with us because some of those people are in my coaching groups. Some of them have taken classes from me, and we're going to be able to hear from them some of the things that we talk about all the time. We talk about divorce, relationship, and it's all coming from a Christian perspective. Not that we're going to beat you up with the Bible because that's not the case, but we will talk about what thus saith the Lord. Okay.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, I definitely appreciate that. I appreciate all of those who frequent your class. I'm excited. I was very excited when I offered you the invite, and without hesitation, you said, "Let's do it." So from that point, I'm like, man, this is going to bless so many lives, including my own. This is going to bless so many lives, so many marriages, so many relationships. And I just couldn't wait to do this, and the time has come. So let's get it started. First off, I'd like for you, Dr. Mel, to just give us a rundown on the services you provide.
Okay, absolutely. I am a marriage and relationship coach, and my husband and I, we both counsel couples, those who desire to be married. So we do premarital counseling, and those who want to enrich their marriage. So if you have been married for any length of time and you find yourself at a crossroad, we can help you there as well. I'm an author. Of course, I'm a mom, a wife, um, and I do workshops, conferences all around marriage. My passion is marriage, and my purpose, aligned with my passion, is what I do here on Clubhouse and other places. So that's me in a nutshell. And anyone who wants to get connected with me, they can go to my website, drmelindaharper.com, drmelindaharper.com. But yes, I'm ready, Tony. I'm ready for today. And I'm so glad that some of the people who are in the classes are here as well.
Nice, awesome, awesome. So I guess I'm just going to say this or ask this. Let's just cut to the chase. What the heck is going on?
Woo! As far as what relationships?
Relationships, marriage. What are we doing wrong?
Mm. Okay, so we do know the statistics. We hear them all the time that 50% of marriages end in divorce. And like someone said earlier, and I say this all the time, the other 50% didn't, right? We like to focus on the negative part. But what I really think is going on, if we're just going to talk about our community, the African American community, where only 25% of us are married, I think we have not been privy to see healthy marriages in action. And because we haven't seen healthy marriages in action, that makes us shy away from being married or wanting to be married. I hear people a lot say they'd rather not be married. What is the benefit of marriage? Why should I get married? Man, if I could just if I could just give you the whole rundown of the benefits of marriage, we would be here all day, right? But to answer the question, I believe the issue is we have not been at the feet or near people who are having healthy marriages. So we don't feel like it exists. I get called a unicorn all the time, Tony.
Society, culture, entertainment, pop culture, how much of that influences how we see relationship at this point.
And how we see each other. Yes. So the music that we listen to, the movies that we watch, everything that we see and hear goes into our spirits, right? Um when we have an issue that comes up, we tap back into what we've seen and what we've heard to make that part of our perspective. Well, if you hear all the time, I don't need a man, I don't want a man, pretty soon men are saying, I don't want to be a man. We hear women say, I don't need a man. Then it trickles on down. I don't want a man. And it trickles even further to our sons. Why would a boy want to grow up to be a man if in his household he's seeing that he's not respected, he's not wanted, he's not valued? So that trickles later on into relationships. Now you have a boy who's grown into a man, and now you expect him to love, cherish, protect, and provide for a woman. When women, as a collective, some of them are saying, I don't even want a man. I can do bad all by myself. I don't need a man for nothing.
How do you think women are seeing men in this day and time?
See, Tony, it's hard not to tap into our community when we talk about that, because women in other races or ethnicities, they're they're not having these same conversations about
Mm,
their men. They're not. I
right.
don't I don't see it, I don't hear it. And I'm not just secluded with black women or African American women. That's not my only reach. I just don't see it from other races. Now, we
Mm,
don't have to get deep into it, but I just don't see it.
yeah. Okay. Well, and vice versa.
Right. And vice versa. I don't see their men. Who you okay, keep going. Okay, I'm gonna just say this. I'm gonna say this part. They don't have a problem getting married.
Mhm.
Okay, since that's what we're talking about. We're talking about marriage and relationships, right?
Right.
They don't have a problem getting married, and they don't have a problem getting married early in life. The one thing that's keeping us stuck and behind the eight ball of marriage, the first thing I said was that we don't have access to healthy married couples to glean from. The second thing is we're not pushing or encouraging one another to get married until later in life. I heard on a clubhouse room, it was a man, he was a coach, and he was telling us that he suggests to the men that he coaches for them not to get married until after they're 35. I had to come off the mic. You're encouraging African American men to not get married until after 35? What is that doing to our society? Us. What's that doing to our culture?
Is there an age that may be considered too young?
I don't think it's age. I think it's maturity and willingness. Because my son is 16, and I asked him not long ago, how old do you think you'll be when you decide to get married? He said, I want to be married by the time I'm 25. I was like, wow. And see, this comes from a boy who, at 14, I asked him, do you ever think you'll get married? I was just trying to pick his brain. Do you think you'll ever get married? And he tilted his head and said, why wouldn't I? Like I was asking him something just crazy. Mom, why wouldn't I get married? Like I was trying to keep something from him. He sees it as his right. He sees it as something that he's supposed to do, and he wants to do, because he's growing up in marriage. He sees a healthy marriage. Why wouldn't you want a healthy marriage if you see a healthy marriage and you get to participate in a healthy marriage? So at 16 now, he says he wants to be married at 25. My daughter's 22. She said, Mom, I pray and hope I'm married before I'm 30. So I know we can't put an age on it, and that's their desires. But I think it's more of a willingness, a mindset, because if he finds a woman as he's growing up, 18, 19, 20 years old, as he when he finds a woman, that's going to be on his mind. He's going to be dating with intention, like my daughter's dating with intention.
Okay, so now we've all been to weddings, the reception where there is the bouquet toss and the garter toss. And usually women are rushing to the floor for the bouquet toss and jumping all over each other to catch the bouquet. Fellas, they're moping to the floor. And as soon as the garter was tossed, they're just watching it go, "Ew." Boom. Are women still excited about catching the bouquet?
Ask the women, are y'all excited about catching the bouquet?
That would be a negative.
Oh, I was just saying yes.
So sometimes I think some women find it embarrassing to go and get the flowers. Do you know what I mean? And sometimes I feel like some women have given up in getting the flowers because the marriage hasn't happened because they're still in waiting.
Fellas, Denzel, are you rushing to the floor to catch the garter?
Absolutely. I didn't grow up being around a successful marriage. My mom and dad weren't together. But I think I turned that negative into changing the dynamic of my future family and what I want for my life. So, like you said, people can focus on the negatives and make it negative, but you can also look at the negatives and make it a positive on what you want different for yourself.
All right, all right. Michael,
Yes, I would be. I've always looked forward to the marriage relationship because I feel it could stretch me as a man and teach me different things about myself once I enter into that institution with somebody else.
Jay's up on the stage. What do you say, Jay?
Marriage, it can be hard, but it's worth it. Listen, I'm in an area of medicine that believes in the body being one interconnected system. And marriage, being married, gives you a greater chance of living longer, greater chance of being successful. So, absolutely, I'm all for it, man. 100%. Been down that road before, and I'm looking forward to going down that journey again. So, absolutely, you got to count me in.
Most of the men said that they would be the ones to catch the garter. And the women were like, mm-mm, that's okay. And there's reasons why they said that. Um, it's the embarrassment too, right? And the blurred lines. Here's the blurred lines. So many times, see, I think we're single until we're married. And so many times you might be single, but in a relationship. So if she prances up to catch that bouquet, somebody might be looking at her like, oh, you're not single. You're in a relationship. Why are you trying to catch the bouquet? Because you're still single. That's why. So I think those lines are blurred, and people like to be in relationships because there's a stigma amongst even single people about being single. But nobody wants to be married. It's so confusing, Tony. It is so confusing. Here's my question. Do people really want to be married?
I will start then. This is Chrissy D. So for me, that question is very clear, plain and simple. I absolutely want to be married. I think that marriage is wonderful. I think that having a spouse is amazing. I believe in love. I believe in Black love. I love the fact that God ordained marriage to, like Jay made mention of, to really to add to the quality of our lives. For me, I don't even think it's an embarrassing piece when it comes to catching the bouquet. I've seen women, pushing each other out of the way, shoving, whatever. I am a feminine, classy woman. I am not going to be scuffling for some flowers with people trying to knock people over and things of that nature. So for me, that's what it's really more so about because I'm not really trying to find myself picking myself up off the floor at a wedding reception because I was trying to get a bouquet when I can just go buy it myself. So because I've seen things like that, I just would rather not participate in that process. But as far as marriage and do I want to be married? Oh, absolutely, because marriage is a blessing from the Lord. It is God's covenant. It is his intention, for people to be united in such a way that they are loving each other and really representing him. So absolutely. I'm Chrissy D and that's my share for now.
Thanks so much for that, Chrissy D. Anyone else?
Thank you, Tony. I really just came in to support my dear sister, Dr. Mel, and just enjoying your conversation. But yeah, if that garter belt goes up in the air, man, listen, I'm a former defensive back, so I'm tackling Jay, pushing him out the way, and I'm gonna catch that.
Nice, nice. I appreciate that.
Yes, Tony, if I can answer as well. This is Yolanda Michelle. And you know what? I was just talking to someone earlier today about the beauty of relationships. But I was saying to this person that it's really important, in my opinion, for us really to not have so much pressure, that marriage is the end goal. And I think that's one of the issues that we have when you look at some of the unhappiness in the dating world, is a lot of people. In my opinion, are just really focused on the end goal and not really enjoying the journey. And so I think it's really important and healthy for us to have a more relaxed approach to relationships, and to sort of remove, like I said earlier in Dr. Mel's room that she had earlier, to remove some of those social constructs that our society is kind of making us feel that a relationship has to look a certain way, or that the dating process has to be a certain way. It does not have to be that way. What we see on TV, what we hear in the music industry, that is not the accurate picture of a relationship. And I think when we take those things out of our minds and sort of look at who we are and what our purpose is and what we are going to actually contribute to the relationship, it becomes a joy. And therefore you can go ahead and go to that wedding 100 times if you have to, because you ultimately know that you are living a journey, and at some point, there is no shortage of good people, there is no shortage of men, there is no shortage of women, and God's purpose is going to be fulfilled in your life regardless. So yes, I would go ahead, jump in there like I do, and have a lot of fun on the dance floor and try to catch those flowers, and then go home and have a continual wonderful evening on loving on myself. Thank you so much for allowing me to share. I'm all done.
I hear women expect the man to be financially stable
Mm.
at the point of dating, especially in marriage. However, inevitably, due to the pandemic or due to anything outside of the pandemic, but let's be specific on the pandemic. He may have lost his job. He may have difficulty finding work. Is he not marriage material at that point?
Well, you need to have a job. You don't need to be getting married if you ain't got no job. So no, he is not marriage potential without income. But does a man have to make six figures, be 6 foot, and have a six pack? No, no, not at all. But here's what I know, Tony. During the pandemic, even though things happen that way, um, I don't have no stats in front of me, but people did better than they were doing before the pandemic. Like there's more businesses now, there's more people thriving now. Those people who are probably, I'm talking about struggle bus, right? Real struggle bus. They probably were on that struggle bus before the pandemic. Seriously. But how has it affected relationships? Those people who were unhappy became more unhappy, right? If you were in a marriage and it wasn't thriving to begin with, now you have to be in the house with that person. Work probably was your release. So now you're at home working and it just makes things worse. But I'm going to tell you this, it has increased online dating and what people consider, if they're going to consider it or not. But there's over 8,000 online dating apps and platforms. 8,000. So if we had to stay in the house and do online stuff, you could have started your online dating then. And what is dating? It's just getting to know someone. People think dating is we're in the bed, we're sleeping together, we're going out on dates, and afterwards we're going home to do. No. Dating is just getting to know someone. It's making connections. And I'm gonna say it's making multiple connections. But I don't think the pandemic really stopped too much stuff. It really didn't. Because if you looked on TV, some people weren't even in the house. They were out and about, still doing living their life. La vida loca.
I got you. So, what about the case of let's say a couple's been married, let's say maybe 3 to 5 years. Not necessarily in the tens yet. 3 to 5 years going in. The husband was very successful. Come across some hard times. His income dropped tremendously within the third year. Um, the wife was used to living a certain lifestyle. All of a sudden, they had to scale back. Actually, they had to scale back a lot due to his drop in income. Is that does that bring about an excuse to bail out? Or is it lack of attraction at that point? Does that man become less attractive than he was back in the dating phase, or even earlier in the marriage?
I'm gonna say this: to a silly woman, he might.
Hmm.
To a silly woman, to a woman who's tearing her house down, it might. Because see, here's the thing, and we're talking about healthy marriages now, right? So before you get married, know what those vows are, know what you're going to say, and how you're going to live up to them. Because for better or for worse, for sickness and in health, for richer or for poorer, so he loses his job. What? That is not a reason for divorce. Will it cause some strain? Yes. But this is what you signed up for. You said for better or for worse, for richer, for poor, for sickness and health. So poor comes, you work it out. If you have to downsize and move to an apartment, you got to downsize and sell your stuff. You got to sell a car. Do. But this is the thing. This is the thing, because we're talking about winning is the only option. You have to decide up front that with all these vows I'm about to take, that you are the person that I want to do these vows with. So when poor comes, or if poor comes, I'm good because I'm with you. And we are going to figure it out. This is what we signed up for. If sickness comes, it's you that I want to win with. When the worst comes, consider the worst. And is that the person you want to marry? Because if it's not, don't get married. Don't get married. You can divorce proof your marriage. Winning can be your only option, but you have to make that a choice.